For 5 marks, her job was, in the morning in the dress shop, take the rats, put them on a plate, and take them across to a beautiful park. Bury them at the beginning of the park. Sweep the sidewalk. She had a seat where she could look out the window and sew by the light. It took a long time to be there, and she was very happy making. I can see the garment in her lap as she makes stitches in the air with her right hand to show me how carefully it had to be done. She is a person who sings. She's had on for quite some time a pair of plain shoes painted gold. She is a person whose children have died, who has twice carried sons in her belly who weren't being fed. And after the war, little brother died, bitten by her father's dog, and there was nothing to repair it. She is a person who sings, Shalom, Shalom. In her stack of drawings, I see little yellow birds. I see shapes like fire and rock. I tell her I'm Jewish, and she pulls all of herself into her eyes and looks at me with that. When I tell her I write poetry, she says, that makes sense to a very red part of me. That is yellow birds made by the Lord with blue shadows underneath. That is from inside.
Thank you so much, Abby. And I'm glad that Abby mentioned the artifacts and different things that are over here on the side table. If you have a chance after our event, please go over and look at them. Different aspects of our our featured residents' lives are there on the table. Mary Rower-Dan is our next poet. Mary has written works for the page and the stage. She is the resident writer for Tempest Productions, and her works, La Scaffetta, Poems from the Foundling Drawer, and Accidents of Being, were produced for the stage in 2015 and 2016. Mary is also a creative writing and advanced composition instructor at Penn State. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you. I had the great good fortune to be paired with Max Confer. And Max, are you still in the back? There he is. He's sitting down, but he is so tall and elegant, and I was just smitten. And I was kind of lucky because I was able to visit with Max 2 evenings. Max is 100. You would never know that to look at him. He is still tall and straight. His voice is clear, and he seems to remember everything. So anyway, this is for Max. I did all right. Max at 100. Pragmatist, builder, dreamer. Named for his mother's favorite car, the Maxwell. Whether she fancied the touring car or the roadster, she imagined life beyond snowshoe. Max lived with relatives after she died. Uncle Pete taught the 10-year-old to drive. On a dump truck, a coal truck. A boy enthralled by planes and dirigibles crossing the sky. A boy keen to fly. Max's deft hands built bridges and roads for the CCC, drove logging trucks loaded with timber. Sometimes the nose of the truck would rise in the air. If the front end came up, you had no steering. When his eyesight ruled out the Air Corps, he hoped to fix warplanes, but served as a medic in Algeria. He came home, married Jean. His smarts helped build Automotive Supply Company. His hands built a family cottage at Raystown Lake, taught young Clark and Carol to water ski. And from a $5 Model A and a 31 Mercedes, he built a gorgeous, creamy white roadster. The dreamer said, "I want to learn to fly." He bought his own plane, a sweet little blue and white Cessna 140. He and Jean flew all over Pennsylvania. We'd visit friends, family, go out for dinner, see a movie. He says, "I did all right." Says of his wife of 60 years, "She was a good woman. I wouldn't change her for the world." He sleeps beneath the white on white quilt she stitched. You know, some people say, "You never got married again." He chuckles. "I'd make them miserable. I'd always compare them to Jean. You gotta face it." With a slight Jimmy Stewart quaver, Max Confer says, "I did just about everything I wanted to. I did all right." Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Max. Our next poet tonight is Sarah Russell. Sarah has had over 80 poems published in venues, including Kentucky Review, Red River Review, Misfit Magazine, and Shot Glass Journal. Sarah has also been a featured poet at Days of Stone and The Houseboat. Join me in welcoming Sarah Russell.
What a wonderful project this has been. And like Mary, I was totally smitten with Fred Harris. Tall man, big smile. He's not with us tonight, but I just loved reading him. And this is called Fred Harris, American Small Town Barber. Look for the tall man with eyes blue as a summer day. That's Fred. Woodworker, builder, baker of bread, race car driver, farmer, farrier, and barber extraordinaire. 50 years of barbering, 70 hours a week in Huntington and Mactown, with a little time on Sunday to saddle up Prince for a ride. Fred's story is one of reluctant first haircuts, the mingled scent of lather, bay rum, brill cream, of just a little off the sides, and the rhythmic sound of straight razor on leather strop. Fred shaved a balloon at barber school. Steady hand, slow breath, no pop. In the 50s, it was crew cuts and flat tops. In the 60s, ducktails and pompadours. Then the 70s. When grim-faced dads dragged in their sons, and Fred made shoulder-length tangles presentable again. Got another one, he'd grin. No music in the shop, runs the batteries down. But he tuned in to hear the obits read every day, so he could pay respects if a regular died. And if a shut-in needed a trim, Fred would stop by on his way home after a 12-hour day. Vacations? Well, he went to Florida once, to Niagara Falls for a couple days. But that was travel enough. He had his barbershop, his farm, people who loved him. He was useful. He mattered. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I love thinking about those 1970s haircuts. Before I introduce our final poet for the evening, I want to take the opportunity to say thank you once more to all of you for coming, for supporting poetry in your community, and to our wonderful partners here at Juniper Village at Brookline. Thank you to each and every one of you. What a great evening this has been. And now, our final poet for the evening, Julia Kasdorf. She teaches poetry at Penn State. Julia is currently at work on a documentary project about fracking. Julia is very well known at the Pennsylvania Center for the Book as one of our honored Public Poetry Project poets, as well as a member of our Public Poetry Advisory Board. Please join me in welcoming Julia, and thank you again.
Thank you all. It has been such a pleasure to work on this project. And I think you feel that just being here. And I was especially honored to be able to meet Rose Plosner, who comes from Bellefonte, as do I. And one thing you need to know about Rose is that pretty much, she was the cafeteria lady for 37 years in Bellefonte. And so John, her son, told me that when he would be out, like in the grocery store or hardware store or someplace, somebody would always come up and know Rose. Rose is famous in Bellefonte. What was really powerful for me in talking with her was I got a sense from her that she was somebody who knew how to celebrate every day. And small things and large things, and that's been a kind of important reminder to me here at the end of the semester. So, hey Rose. And I want to thank too, I dealt as one of the writers in this project, I dealt a lot with Nicole, so I want to thank her for organizing, and Lisa, and Katie, and Liz, Rose's granddaughter back there, who actually met with me when I met with Rose, and John, Rose's son, and also Linda, who I didn't realize, Rose's daughter-in-law worked out at the gym with me in Bellefonte. So, small town. And also I want to thank my husband, Philip Ruth, who did a little bit, he's a public historian, and he helped me out a little bit. He looked up some census records and ship records. Rose's mom and dad, in 1909, sailed as a 15-year-old, 19-year-old from Naples with a 2-week-old baby in their arms. And her dad, at least when Rose was born, her dad was working at the White Rock Quarry in Pleasant Gap. Ode for Rose, for Rosina Maria Coraggio, Rosie Courage, Rose Plosner. Rosie, born at home on a hunky hill, among yards of chickens, gardens, arbors for wine. 10th child of Elena and Giuseppe, 20 years off the boat from Salerno, who rented their house for $10 a month, but owned a radio, says the 1930 census. Neighbors to Alterios, Penlios, Pighettis, Tenalios, and John Willikin, a black man Rose still knows by name. Rosina became Rose. Angelo became Rusty. Vito became Dewey. Carmela became Caroline, became Coxie. Nunziad became Nancy. Even Giuseppe became Joseph, who opened Joe's Sandwich Shop on West High Street in Bellefonte, next to the old Bonfatos. Rose lived upstairs and worked in the restaurant until they sold out. Francis Plosner delivered fruit from the Baltimore docks and also brought bottles of wine for Joe. So, only a matter of time till the wedding at St. John's. Sister Nancy as maid of honor, Toby Plosner as best man. The wedding party had to go back to Joe's restaurant. Francis and Rose built a home on West Beaver with a garage, patio, green shutters, and a P on the aluminum screen door. They grew tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, peppers, zucchini, peppers, watering it all with rain they saved in a barrel. Rose soaked peppers in oil for sandwiches or to eat plain on bread. They were that good. Once, Rose ate a pepper so hot her water broke and Susie was born. Nancy owned the Hofbrau, a beer joint next to St. John's, and Nancy and Ro made the hot wings that made everyone thirsty. Long John Silver's every Friday for fish. Tuesdays and Sundays, Ro played bingo at the Undines and St. John's, her dauber, hovering over as many cards as they let her buy. When she hit the jackpot, Ro did her happy dance. Rose cooked at Bellefonte Elementary, where the lunch lady blew a whistle and stood the bad kids against the wall. But Rose danced the funky chicken and everyone laughed. Rose spiced up canned sauce, stirred up stuffing balls for Thanksgiving. Everyone liked me because I was so damn nice. 37 years in that place. When Rose retired at 80, they asked her to stay. They knew they had a workhorse. Grammy Rose made the Easter pizza and the Christmas stromboli, which you must wash down with a whiskey slush. You only live once. I hope to be the life of the party. The day doctors pulled staples from her shoulder, Rose, in a wheelchair, gulped down a tiny cup of drugs. My birth control pills. I'll drink to that. Rose, snow is finally melted in Bellefonte. The maples in Allegheny have opened their tiny red buds. The lot where you grew those peppers, where you kicked balls with your grandkids, has grown over in lawn. We had a great life, didn't we? Rose asked no one in particular the day she spoke with a stranger. Oh, we celebrated everything.
I think you said it. Standing ovation for all the poets. Juniper's mission is nurturing the spirit of life. And I would just like to thank each one of our poets for diving into this project wholeheartedly with your creativity. Thank you, Allison, Teresa, John, Camille, Nicole, Abby, Mary, Sarah, and Julia. Thank you to all of our residents and the families, and thank you all for being part of this very special evening. Leave, I invite you to the tables in the lobby area to take home copies of original poetry that's provided by the Pennsylvania Center for the Book, and also enjoy some wine, beer, and food and fellowship before you leave. Thank you again.
It was great, huh? was not here.